Okay. Well, so first off, hi everybody. Welcome to the virtual ACT user group session we're going to have today. What I like to usually do is start off in saying, this is your session. You guys have questions. You want to drill down and talk about something a little bit more. Feel free. Okay. I want to make sure that by the time we wrap up and go, everyone's had a pretty good shot at learning some new things and giving some feedback and that kind of thing. So again, your session, whatever you'd like to do, let's kind of go in that direction. First thing I wanted to kind of say is that there is a new version of ACT that's been released. I was going to try to have that one up on my system today, but I've got another one of my long-term pals on here, Pam, and Pam Lapine, and she'll tell you that she's run into some of these issues with some Windows 11 updates that have kind of happened and has had some impact on ACT as well. So some of the feature sets got kind of sideways with ACT, and so they're feverishly trying to do a patch, and they're saying that they hope to have that up by tomorrow morning. So some of these are things like API error messages. So if you log into ACT and you see an API error message, that kind of thing, they understand that last
Yes,
Windows
on
11
right now,
update
and I'm trying to
caused that.
find the
So
volume.
they're trying to fix that.
Plug it in on the outs
I,
inside.
I did. Well, I unplugged the Smith.
Oh, is that you, Ed? Oh, there he goes. Okay. All right. So I think Mark was kind of asking what's going on, what's new with ACT. Some of you are long time ACT users. Some of you are fairly new. So let me kind of give you an overview and then we'll drill down into some features. And then I kind of want to give you guys some tips and tricks that I think you guys might get a kick out of as well. So for the most part, ACT has always been kind of a easy to use system that you could have on your desktop. You could share with other users. You could be a one user person. You could be a multi user person, and you get a chance to kind of share information if you had kind of a team with you and that kind of thing. Everybody had kind of moved towards the cloud. So as they were moving towards the cloud, then everybody else was kind of moving towards the cloud as well, including the ACT group. So you have the capability of using ACT any way you like it. So if you'd still like to use desktop, you can do that. If you wanted to be in the cloud and be kind of a cloud person, you can do that. And then you can also be what's called a hybrid user, where you can
Because you're
have
recording
both
it.
of them. You can be in the cloud, but also have the ability to have a desktop version as well. I think for the most part, ACT is probably the only CRM, customer relationship management software that I think allows you to still have a desktop version and still kind of be in this hybrid mode. Most everybody else has just migrated to the web only. And there's plus and minuses with all of that kind of stuff. One of the pluses is if you're on the cloud only, then you don't have to worry about these installs that are happening, and then somebody leaves the organization, and then you gotta see if you can't yank it off of their laptop before they leave, and then here comes the new guy, and you got to give install onto his machine and then get him a remote database. So if you're all in the cloud, you don't have to do that. But then you also have some other things that aren't quite as easy. Things like right mouse click, doing fast lookups, doing some customization things that you might be used to. All of those things are a little bit more complicated than they would be when you're on your desktop. So again, I run my operation in a hybrid mode. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. There's things I can do in the cloud when I'm out running around, and then I can do kind of more complicated things in terms of being on my desktop and being able to do those things as well. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys, and let's see if I can do that. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to. So this is the cloud version, and you'll notice that it's got my record up at the top here, and over here you have the nav bar on the left, just like everybody's used to. And again, if you're in the cloud, this is going to be old school to you. If you're kind of more on the desktop side, this might look a little bit different, but that's how the cloud kind of looks. And if I bring up my desktop version, This is what the desktop version looks like. So you can see the similarities between the two in terms of the way the screen is designed and made, and the nav bar that you see over on the left-hand side is very similar as well. So they've tried to make it so that the comfort level for a user, regardless of which kind of version they're on, it's a similar look and feel so that they can find things when they want to look around and find things. What ACT has been working on, I'll go back to the cloud version for a second, and let me go to my website, ebsco.net. And so here's my website. And if you wanted to go to ebsco.net and kind of play around in here on your own, you can. And if you click on this pricing details side, it kind of breaks down what kinds of things are available to you now with ACT. So up at the very top, if you look, there's cloud and there's desktop. So depending on what kind of user you are, if you're a desktop person, click on that one, and then you can see what the pricing is and all of the things that are included with desktop. If you were on the cloud side, you can click on that. And then over here, you can see that they've got different tiers, what the pricing is, and then what kinds of things are included with these tiers. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about these different tiers and what some of the things are that they've tried to add to. So recently, and I'm going to say probably within the last 4 months or so, they have, meaning the ACT group, has really tried to add a lot more features to ACT without juicing the price up, super high. So they're trying to give you more features, but not have the pricing go out of whack at the same time. So I think if you were to take ACT and compare it with some other systems, you're going to find that it's not only competitive, but it's got some kind of neat feature enhancements as well.
You leaving?
So let me kind of show you what I mean
Oh,
about.
how's that working out?
Oh, can you guys hear me okay?
Well, um,
Mark, is that you?
You might want
yeah,
to,
do
might want to mute some of
Okay, I
these
just
guys.
I
I
just
don't
I
think they
just muted him
realize.
there. So that should get him. Okay, so now let me go back over to my cloud side. And here are some of the new things that you'll find within ACT. One of them is if I go down here to additional features on my nav bar, these are some different things that you can now have available to you. As an example, they now offer, as part of their subscription model, in all of the tiers, you get the ability to have your own online calendar system. What that means is that in your signature block, you can have something that might say, "Hey, if you want to schedule a call with me, just click on my link and pick a date and time that works for you." And then when you go inside of here, here's where you configure how your calendar is going to work in terms of what days you like, what days don't you want to, want to be, work and that kind of thing. And then you get a link. And then when you copy that link into your signature block, anytime somebody then clicks on that, they're going to see your calendar and what dates are available, and they can pick and choose a date and time that works for them. I have to be honest with you guys and tell you that I use this feature a lot. And it has really cut down on my, "Hey, bud, do you have some time next week?" And I go, "Well, I got Tuesday morning or maybe Wednesday afternoon." "Well, that's not going to work. Do you have anything else?" "Well, let me look." "Okay, well, maybe Thursday at 9. Can it be after 9? Can it be like at 1? I mean, this back and forth harangue that goes on. All you got to do is say, "Hey, click on my link and you pick." And then they can come over here and look and they can see, "Okay, well, that's that week. What's going on the week after?" Oh, you know what? This 3:30, that works. And then when they click on that, they can fill in their information, what it is they want to meet with you, and it's going to come over. And if they've got a record in ACT, it's going to find it and it's going to plug in that information right onto your ACT calendar. And you're going to be notified that I've got a new appointment with somebody and who they are, and they're going to be in ACT. If they're not in ACT, it's going to create a contact record, and then they're going to be in your system as well. So this is now included as one of the feature set things that you get inside of regardless of which tier you happen to be in. Again, I think this is one of the neat things of that they've added to ACT in terms of being able to do some new features inside of ACT. So
Now,
if I come up, any
but
questions?
one question,
Yeah.
so this is only available on the online version, not on the desktop version, is that correct?
Okay, so if you're in the only on desktop, then you are correct. If you're only on desktop, you're correct. If you're on cloud, you get it. And if you're in hybrid, you get it because you're going to set it up in the cloud and you're going to get the benefit of that even on your remote database on if you're in the hybrid mode. But good question, Pam. That's a good
Okay,
question.
thank you.
So yeah, they've tried to add some of these feature sets as they've gone along, and a lot of these things are actually add-on products that other partners had developed that ACT has been working with in cooperation with those partners and have brought those features into ACT working with those partners. And so here's what I mean by that. If I come over here and I go to one of our partners called Keystroke, and if I go in here to Keystroke, they were the ones that actually developed the appointment stuff. So if I come down here and I go to Linktivity, so this appointment setting that system that you see here is the exact same one that's offered in ACT. The difference is you don't have to pay for this subscription through this third party. You get it as part of the feature set inside of ACT. So again, they've worked with a number of partners to help bring some of these neat things into ACT without you as the end user having to go out and figure out how to bring this stuff in. Which partner do I need to work with? How do I integrate it into ACT? It's all part of the ecosystem, so to speak, of what you get now with the ACT tiers. So if I come back over here to the cloud version again, and I go to additional features, these are the kind of things you can do. You can do interactive quotes, and what that means is you can create a new opportunity in ACT, and then you can actually send out a quote based on the information that you've put into an opportunity, and they can kind of be working on each other, and you can feed the information from the quote. You can get it from the opportunity side of the thing. And so that's fairly cool in terms of how that works. You can do online surveys, web lead forms where you can have people fill in information from that. You can do online meeting events, URL shorteners, where if you have a URL that's got a really, really long URL, you can use this shortener to make it be nice and trimmed and short. You can do some email verification. So if you wanted to send out an email blast to 300 people, you could check the list first, making sure that those are going to be good emails. And then down here are some new things, and I have to be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to play with these much yet, but one of them is an online customer portal where if you had projects you were working on with customers, you could give them a slice into your online portal, and then any interfacing or anything you wanted to do with them with document sharing, that kind of thing, you could do that through their online customer portal that they would be able to log into. And again, I haven't played with that very much yet, but that's the intent of the online customer portal. And then project management in terms of being able to invite people onto a project, be able to schedule things, have people be able to share information back and forth in terms of bringing a project from the beginning while it's being worked on all the way to the conclusion, and all of the team members, including clients that might need to be included in that project so they can follow it along. So that's also on board here, depending on which tier you happen to be on. So depending on which tier, you might have 3 of these things. Another tier might have 7 of these things, and then the highest tier would have all of these things. So depending on what you liked, it might drive you to select which different tier thing you might want to have. So one of the other things that they've just redone here a little bit is on the contact side. If I go to the list view, this view is a little bit different now in terms of how it's designed and how it looks. It's a little smoother in terms of what you see on the screen, and even in terms of when you're moving around and seeing things, it's a little more polished than the original versions were. And again, if you're used to using your desktop, very similar in terms of look and feel and all of that kind of thing in terms of what you're able to do. Let me pause for a minute. Any questions about anything that I've laid out there so far? Wow. Wow, you guys are tough. Okay. I'm talking about as fast as I can talk. So if you want me to talk faster, that's going to be trouble. So now what they've done here on the cloud side, you'll notice is that they've tried to make the nav bar a little simpler. So when you go to contacts, this is also where you see companies and you see groups. They're also going to be here at this level. If I go back to my desktop version, you still have all of these different selections down here, and they've tried to save some space and some real estate by combining like things together. For instance, calendar and task list are separate things on my desktop, but if I go back to the cloud, you'll notice that calendar and task list are combined together, thinking that, okay, well, you're going to be looking at stuff you're supposed to be doing on the calendar, and you're going to be looking at stuff you're supposed to do in the task list. So they've tried to kind of combo those things together as you go here. Many of the other things, in terms of you guys being ACT users, you'd be used to seeing all the way in terms of opportunities, things that are open, things that you want to look at. All of those things are very similar. The search features, very similar in terms of what you want to look at. They did make a change on the cloud side, where if I go up here to look up, and then I can say that I want to look at this field, they've added the things that are most likely the key fields that you're going to want to look up. All those things, these things that you see, would be alphabetized down below somewhere. So if you wanted to see state, you'd have to zoom all the way down here to the S's to see state. So they've taken those things that they're calling key lookup indicators, and they've tried to bring those things up to the top. So first name, last name, city, state, zip, ID status, all of those fast things, they've moved up to the top so you can go right here and then get them. They've also added the capability to try to be a little bit better in terms of if I said city starts with Pleasanton, I can say submit, and it's automatically going to now jump and bring up all of the people whose city starts with Pleasanton. Or I could click on advanced query and I could start to build things up, saying things like, show me everybody who's in San Francisco and their ID status is customer. And then it'll combo both those things together. And then when I hit submit, it'll bring up all of the records that then match that criteria. Okay, so they've tried to make the query on the cloud side a little bit easier. One of the things on the desktop side, and again, I'll be honest with you guys, there's about half of my customers are on desktop, half of my customers are on cloud now, and they've migrated over, and then a bunch of the ones that are on desktop are also now in hybrid mode. But let me just say that if I go back to the desktop version for a minute, I can do all the things that you guys have always done. Go up to lookup. And again, here's these key lookup indicators up here. And these are the ones that they've moved up to the top on the cloud side to make those easier to get to as well. But what many people don't know is that if I'm just at my regular ACT screen, and if I come over here to this field like ID status, I can actually do a right mouse click and do a lookup of ID status by using the desktop layout, just like that. So if I were to type in client and say, okay, I don't have to go through the whole lookup, bring up ID status, then figure out who do I want to have in there, that kind of thing. I can just go right on the desktop, go right on the field, right mouse click and look it up. then I can also do other things where I could say, oh, now I also want to narrow it by doing this or narrow again by doing that. So all of that stuff I think is kind of cool in the desktop side. Even things like if I want to do other lookups in other fields, for instance, if I came down here to the Bay Area Act user group, that's what we used to be called in the old days, I could do a right mouse click here on this checkbox and I can say, well, show me everybody that has a check in that checkbox. And if I say, okay, there's 990 of them. And I just did a very fast lookup of all the ones that match that criteria. So again, using the desktop and the screen with doing right mouse clicks inside of the field makes it very easy to look stuff up and find things. That's one of the neat things about desktop that you have to do a little bit more work over on the website, on the cloud version in order to find that. So that's that little trick. Um, Now let me kind of show you some other little tips and tricks that I think are kind of cool along the way. Um, Before I make that move, though, because I don't want to forget that I wanted to cover this, one of the other feature sets in the cloud version on the tiers is the ability to link accounts, not accounts, accounting systems. So if I were to go over here to contacts again, and I just were to bring this up, you'll notice up at the top here, there's these things that you see up here that are table selections or menu selections. And then one of them says accounting. So if I were to click on accounting, you can now link, and they use QuickBooks. QuickBooks Online right now is one of the ones that they will use. And you can actually now link contacts through QuickBooks Online and be able to share information back and forth, meaning that you can go to a contact record. Let me just go back to let me just go down here for a second. Give me a second. I'm going to go back to the desktop because now it's very similar. If I were to bring up this guy and I were to go to the accounting tab, this works exactly the same on the cloud or on the hybrid on the remote. It will tell me who the customer's name is, what their accounting ID is, how are they on the 30, 60, 90? Do they have anything that's over 90? I can see all of this stuff that once I link an account to QuickBooks Online, it'll feed information back and forth. And so I can look stuff up. So if you had a sales guy that was getting ready to go see somebody out in the field, they could do a little homework first to make sure that, do they have anything here that they need to talk to them about in terms of their accounting and that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that I covered that. I thought that was kind of a neat addition in terms of being able to link accounting systems into ACT. Okay, so I want to make sure I covered that. Now, one of the other things that I use quite a bit is the things that you see up at the top over here. So if I go here where it says custom tables and I go this way, all of these things are normal things that are on your menu selection. I'm gonna skip over here for a minute and I'm gonna come over here to SMS and help. Those things are also normal components that are on your screen that are up at the top. These things that you see down in here, though, are different. And these things are things that I've added along the way for different purposes. And one of them is this is a remote database. So when I want to synchronize, I just have to click on this button, Synchronize Now, and it will begin to run the synchronization routine between my desktop remote database and the cloud. Some of my clients and some users actually have their own web server in their organization. So from Act's perspective, they're all desktop users, but they've been able to configure their server to be able to kind of give them web components as well. But they would also still want to be able to synchronize back out in the field. So for people that have their own servers with remote databases, they can sync. And then people that are in this hybrid mode, they can also click on this button and can also sync. But this button is usually not up here. So when they want to sync, they would have to come over here to Tools, and then go all the way down here to synchronize database, and then come over here and click on synchronize now. So a lot of you guys, we've worked together for a long time, and I have to admit, I'm a little lazy. So I like shortcuts. So where I try to find ways to save some clicks of a mouse, I try to do that. So in many cases, I've actually set this stuff up for a lot of you so that that button is kind of up at the top. And I can't tell you how many times somebody will change machines or do an update of some kind, and then maybe these buttons kind of disappear, and I get calls, "Hey, can you put my synchronize now button back up?" Because going all the way down through all of the menu selections is a little rough sometimes. So, how do you do this stuff? So, if you wanted to add something up here, and again, why would you add something? Well, this is easy for the synchronize now. If I wanted to have a refresh button, you could just click on that and it's going to refresh the database. That clicking on that button is the same as coming all the way over here to view and then coming all the way down here to refresh. It's also the same as hitting this F5 key you can see down here. So all of those things can do a refresh of your database, but it's kind of cool to do a synchronize and then click on refresh just to make sure that you got a refresh. I've also added these two things. One of them is company and one of them is email address. So if I click on company, oh, here goes mine. Okay, if I click on company, it will allow me down here to do a lookup by a company name. So I could do that by coming all the way over here and changing this drop down and change it from contact to company and then type in what I wanted the company name to be. Or I could come all the way over here to lookup and then go down here to company and then over here type in what I wanted that to be. Or I can just put this lazy guys button up here at the top, and then whenever I want, I can just click on this and then just type in the company name and I'm off and going. So that's why I've put that up there. And I put it up there because I use this a lot. And so having the ability to be able to do that is pretty cool. The other thing I put up here is this thing called email address. So I'll get an email from somebody. I believe that they're an ACT, but I'm not sure. And I maybe even want to look them up in ACT after I've received an email from them because I want to make some changes or do some edits or that kind of thing. So if I click on email address, it will allow me to type in or to paste what that email address is, and then it will look up all of the records in ACT that match that email address. So if somebody sent me an email, I could copy their email address, click on this button, paste it, and go. So if I just did this with this guy, there's the two people that share that particular email address, and I got an email from them. I go, I think I have those guys. I'll copy, click on the email button, paste their email in, boom, go. Yep, there they are in ACT. And now I can make any changes, talk to them, whatever they wanted to go. So again, I use all four of these things quite a bit. So how do you do it? So if you come over here up at the top, and if you do a right mouse click, you'll see customize. And we're going to use this term customize in a couple of other areas in a little bit. But you're going to want to click on customize. And then what you're going to see is the selection to be able to make changes. For instance, here are all of the commands that we talked about. And what you can do is you can grab one of these commands from over here and then drag it up to the toolbar. So what I said to you earlier is if I wanted to do refresh, that's the same as going to view and then down, my mouse is over here, but view and then down to refresh. So I know that if I come over here and I do view, and then I scroll down, 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 and I see refresh, I can now, it's the same command, and inside the sub commands from that selection, there's the refresh, and I can use a left mouse click and drag it, and then I can drop it up here into the toolbar. And it's the same exact command as it would be if I did it manually, only now I can just do it with this click. Okay. So I already have it over here. So I can come over here and I can delete that one. I can add other ones. So all these commands that you see in here, you could actually do a drag them up and put them up here in your toolbar, and then you can grab them really easily. You can also do custom commands. So if you had created a custom template that you really wanted to have easy access to, you could create a custom command with that template. And then once you have that custom command, you could drag it and drop it right over here into the right menu so that when you go to write, your custom command is down here for the custom templates that you wanted to use. Again, very, very cool. So that's a quick way to find some neat things that you can do in terms of being able to do very fast clicking of
Nathan, do you think I look
buttons
better
on
in real life or on the security camera?
What do you mean?
mute Mark again. Here, let me mute him. There we go. Come on. Okay. Now, one of the other ways that you can use this a lot is if you utilize Outlook and Act together so that they interface. And again, you would want to make sure if you were doing that under Tools, Preferences, and then under Email and Outlook set up here, you would then walk through this wizard to connect this. If you're on the cloud, you do basically the same thing. You download a utility, and then when you click on that, you also have to set up the preferences. Once they're set up, what happens in Outlook is pretty much identical. So what I mean by that is if I go into Outlook, there's a new menu selection called Act, and here's all these commands that you can do. So here's all the different things that you can do, including attach to a contact, quick attach, create a contact, create an activity, all of those things. But if I'm over here on the home button and then I want to do something, I want to be able to, I have to come over here to Act and then pick the command over there. Now, if you guys are quick on the draw and looking at my screen, you're going to notice that down here, I've got some commands, and guess what? Guess what? Those are the same commands that you can see up here. So how did we do that? So how we did that is normally this only has a couple of things on it. Send and receive, all folders, blah, blah, blah. If you come over here, now let's just assume for a minute that none of this stuff was here, and it just had these two guys over here. I can come over here and use this drop down and say more commands. And then when you see that, here is where on the Act side, you come over here and this is the commands that are in the tab that's for Act. And if you bring these over just by highlighting them and hit add, those commands end up over here. And then you can move them around up or down, however you want to have them arranged. And then when you say OK, they all appear on this command bar down here, just like that. Now it doesn't matter which view I happen to be in. I have the Act commands available to me all the time down in here. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, another thing that I use a lot daily is by utilizing these shortcut things that you see down here. Inside of the Act screen, I'm going to try to move this thing over here a little bit. One of the things that you may or may not be taking advantage of, and it's the same whether or not you're on desktop, hybrid, or cloud, all of this stuff is pretty much the same. And if I go over here to toggle sidebar, you'll see a little thing open up here on the side. There it goes. Little thing open up here on the side. And depending on your screen, and I'm on my regular laptop display now. Normally, when I'm not on Zoom, I would have it on my big screen. So everything kind of lines up a little bit easier. But I would have my normal folders over here, then the email, then the detail of a highlighted email. And then in this sidebar, you have the ability to see information if that person is inside of ACT. And then you could see their title, address. I can actually edit any of this stuff. And when I save it, it will save it into my ACT database on my desktop. And if I'm in the cloud and I make these changes and save it, it's going to save that information in the cloud. And so it's going to do it automatically for me. So if I make any changes to the ACT information, I can come down here, and these buttons are pretty much the same as these new buttons I told you about up here. So I can do similar things. I can attach, I can add activities, I can kind of do all of that stuff. And then down below, under history, it's telling you things that have been connected or things that have been done to that particular contact record. So you can see today is the 16th, and here I think, and so here I've got information that's been linked up to this particular contact record. This is another friend of mine, Ron. So if I go up here to Ron's record, here it's now giving me his information. There's Ron's information. And then down over here, some other emails and stuff that have been linked up to him. And it all did that for me automatically. And then obviously from here, I can do respond, forward. I can do all of that kind of stuff as well. So, and now in some cases, people don't want to give up this real estate because their screen size might be small. So you can toggle it off or toggle it on. So depending on what you've got available to you for screen size, you may or may not want to have that open or not. So up to you, and it doesn't matter in terms of any other functionality. It's just what do you like to see and how do you like to see it? Okay, so that's kind of some of these neat things. I want to make sure I did some of them. Okay, that we talked about that. Good, good, good. Okay, one other thing that's just kind of happened along the way is OneDrive. So Windows is really pushing hard to try to use OneDrive as its file manager and be able to have all kinds of things happening within OneDrive. ACT has also tried to use OneDrive as the default place to put databases. So normally, way back in the day, it would be your ACT database would be in My Documents. There'd be an ACT folder in My Documents. And then in there, you would have your database, templates, layouts, all of that kind of thing. So in OneDrive, it's kind of kept that organizational structure. So in OneDrive, you also have a My Documents, and then ACT may install your ACT folders inside of OneDrive, and then we'll place the data inside of there. Everybody that I've kind of done setups with, or that I have done setups with, I never use that. I don't use that. What I will do is I will create a folder on the C drive or on the D drive if they prefer, depending on how much space they have. And I'll create an ACT data folder there. And in there is where I will put all of the ACT information, and it will be all available to them there. I can even do backups to those folders. And then either the client that I'm talking with or their IT guy that I might be talking with, I can say, if you want to back something up, you can back up that ACT data folder, especially the backup folders where the backups are happening. So if something bad happens, you've got that information available to you. The reason I'm bringing all this up is that just like if you had an Excel file that was open on your, and you were working on it, and then inadvertently you tried to grab that file and move it over onto a USB drive stick or something like that, it's going to yell at you and it's going to say, no, 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 you can't move that. It's an open file, so you can't do that. So you have to go, oh, okay, you have to save it, close it, and then you can move it. Similar things are happening inside of OneDrive, where it wants to do backups and do things like that, but it can only really do it when the file is not active and it's not open, in terms of hard copying and that kind of stuff. Well, with Act, it has a back end that's also using what Microsoft has as a SQL database back end, and it never really closes. So even if you're trying to copy things, it's likely that the file isn't actually closed and it could be open so that you're not getting what you think you're going to get. In many cases, I've had people that have tried to move to another PC and they've just tried to grab that folder and just stick it on the new PC. And then by the time they try to get it activated back over on the new PC, Act, with Act, it won't work because it didn't really grab the files correctly. So um, a number of people are running into trouble or issues with OneDrive and Act, thinking that things are getting copied and things are getting worked on correctly, and it's failing a little bit. So I just kind of wanted to give everybody a heads up. The correct procedure, and I'll show you on mine. If I bring up File Manager, and if I zoom down here to this PC, and if I go here to my C drive, you'll see that I've got an Act Data folder. Again, this is what I normally set up with clients as well. And then inside of here is the attachments, databases, documents, all of that kind of stuff. And then with IT folks, if you can get them to back this up, great. Um, but all of this is in a place that you have a little more control over than if you went into documents and then you went into Act and then you went into Act Data there and then you went into databases. There's some stuff in here, but it's not, it runs the risk of having the issues that I just told you about earlier. So if it's working out for you and you're not having any problems, fine. I'm happy to smile. If you're thinking, boy, I'm having weird things going on, that kind of thing, you might want to consider having it go to the root drive in its own folder. Okay. That was that one I wanted to run past you guys. Shortcuts, okay, that one. Coupon, okay. Okay. Here's one other thing that is a free add-on. And remember, I told you earlier about Keystroke that was providing the calendar information, and now they've teamed up with Act, and now that product is embedded into the different tiers of Act. They also offer a free file that and I can when I get the Zoom thing recording ready to go, maybe I'll put a link in there for you so you guys can see this if you like what I'm going to say next. And that is, I will get information from a trade show or something like that, and I'll get a listing of people and their email addresses. So let's assume I went to a trade show and the organizers gave me a listing of 200 people who attended the trade show. And here you go, bud. And if you want, you can contact them and see if anybody would like to know more about ACT. So I have that. What do I do with it? Okay, what do I do with it? So the first thing I want to know is, who do I have in ACT and who don't I have in ACT? I want to know that question. So what this little add-on thing can do is I'm going to go over here to look up, and then it's called multi-search. You see it down there, multi-search. And then what you can do is you can create criteria, and I'm going to say email. And if I have it in an Excel spreadsheet and I just copy all of the email addresses down the column, copy and paste them into here, and then click on contact, it's going to go through those emails and show me who is already in ACT. So I'll be able to see who's in ACT already, and that who is, then I'll know who isn't in ACT. So I may be out of the 250, maybe I've got 75 of them are already in ACT. So I'll tag those. I'll delete those from the import file. And now when I import that file in from the trade show guys, I'm only going to get new records that are going to come in that I can then do outreach for. So this is kind of a neat trick to be able to do a lookup of contact records and then say, show me all of the ones that I've already got into ACT, and it's going to bring up a listing of all those that I've already got. So multi-search is pretty cool. Okay. Okay, one more thing. Smart tasks. So ACT in the days used to have something called a smart task. And I'm using the term smart task because it's supposed to be able to look at things and then help you take actions against things that it finds. Okay, so I know it's a little strange. So let me tell you what I mean. So if I were to go over here to this profile tab, let me move this out of the way here a little bit. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that this is a client of mine, and you can see all the customization and stuff that I've done with this. And I can see over here, do they have an ACT subscription? So I can say, yeah, they have an ACT subscription. Well, when is their renewal date? And let's assume it said April 9th, 2026. Okay. So then over here, I can say, okay, well, who's the pay to? Do they pay Bud or do they pay ACT directly? How do they keep their subscription in place? So I have that and I have that. And then down over here, I can actually add in what each of their line items are. For instance, they're a cloud user. They have 8 users. Here's the pricing per user, and then it'll compute how much the cost would be. And all the way down where you can do the math all here, all of this is just regular ACT stuff. ACT has the ability to do simple math problems and that kind of thing. And ACT can do all of this without any add-ons or anything. You guys can just do it all on your own. So as an example, if I put down 8 users, oops, let me see if I can. It's going to give me a hard time. Yeah, my mouse isn't working. Okay. So if I put in 8 users for $300, it's going to do the math over here, and then it'll give me a total down here by the time I get done. All right, so here's where I'm going. So if this subscription was going to be over in April 9th, 2026, and here's how many users they had and all of that kind of thing, and here's what the total would be, I have that on their contact record. What a smart task can do is it would constantly be pinging my database each day, and it can ask this question. And it's the question that I programmed into it. It would say, hey, look up all of my contacts that have an active ACT subscription, and 60 days before that date, I want you to create an activity for me to contact Michael Briggs. And it will do that. Okay, that's pretty hot. I mean, I'm slowing down a little bit because that's pretty hot. Okay, so if in fact you've got things that are happening on some kind of a time basis, you can have ACT actually do this stuff internally. Now, back in the old days, ACT could do this for you pretty easily by doing a smart task. What's called a smart task. They've kind of removed that, so you don't have it. You don't have it over you have an activity series, and an activity series is a way for you to schedule a number of things that you want to have. I want to call this guy tomorrow. I want to wait 3 days, and then I want to send him an email. Then I want to wait 2 days, and I want to schedule another call back. So those are marching orders that might include 2 or 3 or 4 things, and then you can put a ribbon around all of those with a name. And then when you schedule that one thing with that name, it'll schedule all 7 of those things or all 4 of those things for you all at once. You don't have to do all of those on your own. That's what an activity series is. The smart tasks, though, were something that could do what I just said we could do. And again, they've kind of taken that away, but I've kind of figured out a way around this. Okay, So if I go to marketing automation, and in marketing automation, I have something that, hey, is called Smart Tasks. Okay, it's called Smart Tasks. And you can see here that it says if something is before 60 days off of a driven date, or 60 days, or 45 days for their birthday, or this renewal or that renewal, I want these things to happen. And then these things will all take place. So for instance, if I come over here and I say, I'll keep moving this guy back and forth, then over here it will schedule. I move this thing. It'll send me a notification saying that this guy's due for his renewal. That's exactly what this will do. Now, the reason that that happens is because their date is coming into something that I had planned for. That is done within groups. So if I go over into groups, I have smart tasks. And these smart tasks are driven off of those dates. So if I come over here and I say add remove contacts, these are dynamically built groups that say things like, if the act renewal is within 60 days and they are an active subscriber, they're in this group. They're not in this group unless both of these things are true. If both of those things are true, then marketing automation wakes up and sends me an email saying those guys are due for their renewal. I know it sounds complicated. I know there's a lot of things that I'm kind of saying, but it's not that bad in terms of laying out a flow of saying these things are important. Here's a group that is dynamic that I can add and remove people from automatically. And then if all that's true, then I want to have something raise its hand and say, hey, bud, don't forget about this guy. And that's what this does, a smart task in terms of using dynamic groups and marketing automation to raise the hand. Let me pause for a minute. Does that sound? I think that's pretty cool how that works out. And it was using their tools to redo something that they took away that I kind of liked back in the old days. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm gonna pause for a minute. We got like I've been going now for a while, but any questions or any comments from anybody on anything?
Can you submit to ACT to bring back the smart task? That was one of my favorites. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah,
Of
you like that,
all
huh,
the
Pam?
of all the things you do, you take away smart tasks? Oh, bad.
Oh, yeah, you like that, huh, Pam?
We used it all the time. I had all kinds of things set up.
Great, great. Okay. All right. Well, I'm actually going to go to Scottsdale in January. I've got a list of hot topics I want to chase around with them, and I'll bring that one up. I'll bring that one up again just because you're asking, Pam. Okay. Um, any other thoughts or questions from anybody in the group about anything I talked about, or even something I didn't talk about that maybe you've got a question on? Boy, quiet crowd. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me ask you guys this one question because I've been getting and I've asked a couple of times already. First off, do you like these things? These little get-togethers that are kind of informal. Do you like them? And is once a quarter okay? Would you like it a little more than that or a little less than that? Any thoughts from anybody as to what you might like?
No, I think these are good. One thing that might be interesting is, everybody has their little inventions,
Hmm.
little things that they've done, different ways they're using some of the add-ins or the way they've constructed things. So maybe it's show your most have some of the members of the group just show show something interesting if you've done something fun.
And I agree with you 100%, Pam. And actually, as a working group, I want to make sure that we all kind of understand the rules here. And the rules are when we come together, we leave all of our egos at the door, right? And we work together and we do whatever we can to help each other. But when we walk back out on the street, we compete like hell, like, right? But when we're here, we want to help each other as best we can. Okay, does that make sense as a as a way for the group to operate? I hope so.
Yeah,
I was thinking instead of competing, why don't we sell to each other?
There you go. It's even better. It's even better.
I had a question. I had a thought. Maybe I know we only work exclusively online, so I don't know if half the group is desktop and half the group is online, but I kind of feel like there's a big difference
Uh-huh.
user wise if we should split that up to make it, I don't know, because it's just like some things are more clunkier than others and there's more issues, like you said, there's pluses and minuses with both. So they're both kind of different, right?
Okay, so you're saying if there was a way to have maybe a session that's geared towards cloud, and
Yeah,
maybe a session that's geared towards desktop, that the users could pick which one's better for them, and then the discussion is focused on that kind.
that was just kind of my thought. I don't know if that helps, but um
No, no, good, great, great
because I'm
comment.
only cloud based, so when you go back to the desktop version, I'm like, oh, mine will work different, might work differently,
Mhm. Yeah, and on some things you can still kind of do it, but you have to do some workarounds to get to the same spot.
Yeah,
And so it'd be nice if we had just a cloud side or an initial desktop side, because then when we were talking to the cloud side, I could just say, if you want to do this, here's how you do it, and it would just be
yeah.
those steps, right?
And you could even promote it like this is if you have more, like you can join either way, but this will be geared towards desktop version, or you can join either way, but this will be geared towards cloud version, and then people could still learn, but just an idea.
No, I like it. Good thought. Good thought. Okay, folks, any other thoughts, questions, things you want to throw on the burner?
I like actually getting exposed. I have desktop and I don't have any intention of migrating, but I enjoy seeing both environments because who knows, someday we may be compelled to go.
I have desktop too, and then I see the cloud, and I'm like, oh, I'm staying. I like my Bud knows he can't blast me out of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. How about time frames, folks? Do you guys want is once a quarter sound good? More, less? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, once a quarter probably is a good place to start, and then you pull beyond that. For me, it's just my tax season is the limitation, the different tax busy times. But I find this really wonderful, and it's a chance to get exposed to new ideas.
So, so you're saying make sure that I arrange it so it's right in the middle of your tax season each
Yeah,
time, then
yeah.
is what you're saying.
Do it on April 15th. Make my day. You know?
All right. Well, fair enough. All right. So I'll get this recording kind of spun up a little bit, and then I'll make sure everybody's got a copy of it. In the meantime, if you guys got things you'd like to hear about or things that you think would be a neat topic or something, shoot it over at me and that kind of thing, and I'll kind of get it. I'll kind of get it in the rotation. But just so you guys know, I enjoy doing these things too. I have fun. I have fun clowning around with you, everybody as well. So just not you guys having fun. I'm having fun too. Okay.
Well, let's just get that hot fix out quick,
Yes.
Charlie.
All right. I'm gonna keep my eyes open to see if they did what they said and if it's up and going
Yeah,
by tomorrow morning. Believe me.
that was a surprise today. Surprise.
You and me both. You and me both.
Okay.
All right, folks. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Bye.
Bye, bud.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.